Is Amendment 2 to Florida's Constitution a gay-bashing piece of public policy or a way to sanctify marriage? We'll discuss that in Part 2 of this special Power Play with our guests, John Stemberger, the chairman of YesToMarriage.org, and Damian Filer, political director of Progress Florida. Gentlemen, let's go back to the state Supreme Court ratifying that this could be put on the ballot because it went through all the proper protocols and procedures. They did not endorse the point of view, but put it on the ballot. Damian, your perspective about the sanctity of marriage versus the sanctity of this proposal.
Sure. Well, like you said, what the court did was examine this to see if it met the criteria to be put on the ballot. They didn't make any ruling about the merits of it. That's what they've done. Now it's up to voters to make a decision about the merits of this proposal. And voters would be well informed to understand that this is not about a vote on gay marriage, which will remain illegal regardless of how this vote turns out on November 4th. What this is about is a threat to benefits, to health care benefits, in particular in Florida. It's interesting to note that Blue Cross Blue Shield, the largest insurer in the state of Florida, has come out publicly. They're not usually big players in political campaigns. They've come out publicly opposed to this because they believe that it will impinge their ability to provide health insurance benefits in Florida. So I would ask people to look to them as a guide on this, not to the campaigns for or against this, but to the largest health insurance provider in the state.
John, is there an economic development aspect, a downside to your point of view of being for this so-called marriage amendment?
Not sure I understand the nature of your question.
Well, does it make it more difficult for businesses that maybe provide benefits to unmarried partners to do that if there's prevailing policy in the state constitution against it?
Yeah, no, this has nothing to do with benefits. And in fact, if it had anything to do with benefits, we wouldn't be here because the Supreme Court wouldn't approve the language. The reason for the hearing before the Supreme Court was the single subject requirement. And the opponents were making that argument. The ACLU was saying this is going to encroach upon benefits, and the court said no, unanimously. So it has nothing to do with benefits. If it had, we wouldn't be here today. It has everything to do with defining marriage as one man and one woman. It prohibits polygamy, prohibits group marriage, and prohibits same-sex marriages.
Okay, you guys are sitting very close together, but very far apart on this issue. But let me make this point. Charges have flown here in the stretch period to the election. There are accusations that you've got spots on the air that are very well funded but not properly identified or sourced. We'll let Damian speak to that, but answer the charges that are out there.
You know, these guys, they want to talk about everything but whether gay marriage is a good idea for Florida. And this is just another distraction. And you're going to see for the rest of the election, they'll avoid the topic at all costs. And so we followed every single law. We have federal and state lawyers. Everything we've done is legal and proper. They may not like the law, but they can seek to change it, but we've done everything properly.
Okay, Damon, get to the heart of it.
Well, the heart of it is, if you look, I'm not so interested in the legal troubles that the proponents have at this point. What I'm more interested in is the misinformation that's in their ad. Their ad is called One Thing, and I think their ad is frankly a concession that this really is about benefits, because they're on the defensive in their own advertising, trying to reiterate to people that they shouldn't be concerned about this, despite the fact that Blue Cross Blue Shield has said that it would threaten the ability to provide benefits, despite the fact that 18 out of 18 newspapers who've editorialized on this in the state have all come down against this, despite the fact that leading politicians in the state, from Bob Graham to Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, are opposed to this measure. There's a reason for that, and it has nothing to do with gay marriage, because that's not what's on the ballot.
But still, newspaper endorsements and political leaders' endorsements don't turn an election very often.
No, they don't. But getting the truth out about what's on the ballot, it really does.
All right,
and what we've seen is that the numbers move when people learn what this is really about.
Very quickly, the accusations you have thrown at the other side about their advertising. Crystallize that in 10 seconds.
It's not us that has thrown those accusations, but the accusations that I've read about in the paper are that they're hiding money, that they are not revealing who their donors are, which is required by law. You have to put a paid political advertisement disclaimer on political ads in the state of Florida, and they've done that, but they've not put a disclaimer on showing who really paid for the ads.
Okay. Meanwhile, we have this threshold of 60% of the voting public must approve an amendment for it to pass today. The latest poll I saw showed that none of the amendments seem to be hitting that threshold. Will you get there?
We're very optimistic, although we're not sitting back partying yet, because this issue is always underpolled. The results have always been higher than the actual polling. So we're going to be working very hard, making sure people understand that Amendment 2 defines marriage between one man and one woman.
Damien, can you get there?
What we've seen is that the more people learn about this, the more they understand that this is not about gay marriage, but is in fact about a threat to benefits, then the support for this erodes.
Well, 60-40 is what it's got to break down to for this thing to pass. John Stemberger, Damien Filer, thank you very much. It's up to you whether marriage will be defined as a union between a man and a woman in Florida's Constitution. Be sure to vote on November 4th. Go to the Safety Review for the latest political news, and we'll see you next time on Power Play.